Of course, Fairly Odd Parents was doing so well that Nickelodeon wanted to make some CP. What does that mean? That means that's an inside Hollywood lingo term.
On August 10th, 2005, my first days of kindergarten were right around the corner. I had just turned 5 years old, and to celebrate the grand occasion, my mother decided to take me to what was my favorite place. It was the most festive place I could imagine at the time. Blockbuster Video. Yeah. As a fecal-minded child, I had no idea that places like GameStop or Walmart even existed. So as far as I was concerned, Blockbuster was the place to purchase video. I'd had an original Xbox for almost a year now, and spent a good chunk of my time scanning around GG's HQ and listening to Brian Matt yell, "Fallout!" But on this day, my fate was sealed. A new character had just entered my life. A funny little guy, I don't know if you've heard of him. His blue, spiky head and green eyes enamored me from across the store. As a kid, you have no idea what quality looks like. You just pick whatever the coolest cover is. And to me, this was it. Sonic Mega Collection Plus. A place to play nearly all of the Blue Hole's oldest and greatest hits. Sonic Labyrinth, Sonic Blast, Sonic Drift, just one not two, Not Sonic Comic Zone, and even Robot Bodies, as I called it. I spent a good chunk of my time getting absolutely nowhere in most of these games. My mother owned a Genesis as a kid, and was relatively familiar with some of these games, thanks to being the only girl in a group of 5 siblings. As I lived my childhood, she relived part of hers, and it was during that year or two that she was the nicest she's ever been to me. But the games aren't what I'm interested in here. When I was a kid, one of my favorite things to do regarding video games wasn't to play them, but to read about them. If the game had an instruction manual, I read it cover to cover. If the game had concept art, I'd stare at it and daydream for hours on end. Sonic Mega Collection Plus featured this very thing. An extras menu consisting mostly of comic book covers that I'd stare at and flip through all night long. The best part about this menu, though, was the ambiance it carried. When entering this menu, you hear this. I can't listen to this song today, because it always elicits a powerful emotional response of some kind. Sometimes I fall into a trance and daydream for several minutes. Other times, I break down immediately. Either way, I cry. Every time. When I hear it, I'm reminded of that bulbous child, that little shithead's big, stupid grin. For just a moment, I feel like him again. I feel loved by my mother again. I feel innocent and dumb and oblivious to all the plights of the world, when there were no politics, no bills, no other people to deal with, no societal norms to follow, no desperation to appeal to others just to feel worth my skin. No crippling anxiety, no bullying, no looking toward exploitable people just to make myself feel better, no homicidal or suicidal intentions. No theories as to how good the other side might be, because this one just isn't worth the chance. Just us. Us, in that stupid furry game that once held us together. His smile mocks me, because it's unlike any I've ever had since. If that child died, at least he would have died happy, having just lived the life that he always wanted. So, here's the deal. I've just given you a deeply personal, anecdotal example of nostalgia's effect on the human mind, and I intend to do it again, because I believe nostalgia to be the root of nearly all issues found within gaming discourse these days. No one cares about the future. They all know it looks grim, capitalistic, and filled with sweat. They just want their past back, one way or another. Despite this video's title probably being fairly provocative, I don't want you to walk away thinking that nostalgia is evil, just a bit more capable of noticing when it rears its head.
Hey everybody, this is a Knothole resident. As you can see here, I am very pumped up about Sonic the Hedgehog 4. I've been getting tons of comments about it. The trailer was just released, and I'm going to go ahead and watch it live here on YouTube. So here we go, everybody. This is the Sonic 4 trailer and my initial reaction, live, caught on video. So here we go. You ready for this, buddy? We waited over, what, 16, 17 years for this? It's your long-awaited comeback, yay! Here we go! Sonic the Hedgehog 4!
This is Richard Kuda. Beyond his diaper kink, there isn't much out about him today. The archives have been mostly wiped. What's important is that at this point, he's a very avid fan of Genesis-era Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, the short, fat, black-eyed Sonic he just spoke to. While it wasn't the Microhog's final appearance, his last prominent one before this point was with the release of Sonic and Knuckles. Like Kuda says, a game released about 16 years ago, while Kuda was still a child. Watch how he reacts to seeing relics from his past.
Oh, classic! Yeah, Sonic 3, yeah! Oh, there's a motorbug!
Unfortunately for our friend Dicite Tape, Sonic 4 didn't feature the cutesy design he'd missed for so long. Just look at his face, it says everything. Or at least, almost.
Okay. Here, why don't you sit over here? Let the adults speak. Where to begin? What part of retro don't you understand? From the amount of concept art and the black-eyed Sonic you used in the Hedgehog Day banner, that immediately gives us old school fans the impression that Sonic 4 would reflect the classic Genesis games. I'm not sure if you caved in to the little kiddies again. Ugly, stretched out, green-eyed Sonic fighting the modern-style Eggman. Is that what he's going to be called too? Dr. Eggman? Ugh! I'm so infuriated right now. This is a complete turn-off. It's incredibly misleading. I mean, you have a lot of balls to even place this as a long-awaited fourth installment. I mean, I'm looking at this right now in disgust. I mean, this is appalling. This is abysmal. I mean, I, along with most people in their late 20s, was expecting the classic-style, black-eyed Sonic. This is... Oh, wait, that's Tails.
So you might look at this and go, so what, right? This is just some man-child yelling at a video game trailer. But if that's your outlook, you likely weren't in the online Sonic fandom this far back. My online footprint starts at around 2006. This channel is over 10 years old. I have seen a lot, and I can tell you that Richard Kuda's take on the Sonic franchise was far from uncommon at the time. When Sonic fans in their 20s weren't typing out their darkest fantasies on Sonic fashion, they were complaining about the direction the series was going in. And in hindsight, we can't just blame them. The Sonic series is no stranger to demographic shifts, and with each one comes this cycle. You've probably heard of the Sonic cycle, one that repeats with each individual entry. This one, though, repeats when every generation of fans hits their 20s. Let's walk through this for a sec. Classic Sonic was universally appealing. His games were bright, colorful, and simple for kids, yet featured a rewarding difficulty curve and an angsty emotive protagonist for 90s teenagers. The third game's playable roster even featured characters on all ends of the scale. Cut to June of '01 and the shift is clear. A dark, brooding story about a pair of bouncing bat tits and an old man's vengeance for his gunned-down granddaughter, all centering on Sonic's edgiest compadre yet, a character who serves as the face for this take on the franchise, and who will go on to shout minor obscenities and mow down
disgusting black.
This just wasn't the Sonic those 90s kids knew, and it wasn't the Sonic they wanted. For the youngest of that bunch, he no longer had the voice they wanted either. The blue sex icon seemed to have grown. He got older, taller, and developed a deeper voice. But everyone's aging process is rocky, and the Sonic franchise's face had been riddled with pimples by the release of Sonic 4's initial trailer, with that game being a desperate attempt to appeal to the nostalgia of what was no longer the core audience. That ball was fumbled a bit, at least until we got our first look at Santiago in 2011. Today, things have hardly changed. The franchise's reputation has only improved a smidge, with games like Colors and Mania giving people hope. But with Colors in particular, a shift in tone reared its head again. We lost the best Sonic, and in his place came Roger Craig Smith. I like Roger, I don't think he does a bad job at all, but with his casting came a very new direction for the franchise's writing. All those characters that the classic fans whined over got shifted to the wayside in favor of a hyper-focus on the Sonic 2 trio. The more serious approach to storytelling now strayed nearer to that Pingus cartoon. A wise-ass Sonic and tag-along Tails foiling the fat man's monthly plan. It just wasn't interesting. And when you're used to playing as 12 different lovable characters, engaging with stories that harp on concepts like loss or belonging, you can't help but feel patronized. Like the franchise you've grown invested in for so long thinks you're still 12. Because, well, it does. This is how demographics work, and now you're experiencing a similar phenomenon that the classic fans did 20 years ago. Sonic is consistently shit these days because it's trying to please everyone, and when kowtowing around the nostalgia of two demographics all while reaching toward a third, it just falls apart. Shit, look at Forces. Jack of all trades, competent at none. And now the fandom is split. 3 groups of people who all just want their childhood, continuously arguing that their Sonic is the best one. The best thing Sonic Team can do now is make something objectively excellent without focusing solely on appealing to the nostalgia of so many unique people. The Sonic name sells on its own. Imagine if it was accompanied by something groundbreaking for once. Stop making products and start making an effort. Nintendo is a child's developer. I don't say that to be condescending. They are the child's developer, a nostalgia factory. If you're my age, chances are the GameCube was your cherry popper. Before you gunned down pigs in Los Santos, you were bing bing wahooing all over Isle Delfino. And I'm sure those experiences are still very important to you. I'm sure that you owe some of your best days to this very corporation. And now, you're confronted with the very grim reality. Nintendo is a company. And not just any company, but one of the worst in this industry. They'll charge top dollar for the shittiest online service in the business, yeet many a love letter, shit out temporary full-priced releases of games you could get running on your machine right now for free, and have made a clear as healthy piss conscious effort to cripple the competitive Smash scene. Hey, I'm recording this pretty late out, and upon further inspection into the Smash scene, its drama, and its biggest players, I actually think that Nintendo has the right idea by not working with those sick freaks. Fuck that community. Capitalism's a big old portly bitch, but even the worst companies in the world at least pretend to value their customers. Those boomers up in Japan could not care less about you. So why is it that with every controversy comes a sea of bootlickers? I mean, let's look at this Metroid Dread thing. You're telling me that piracy's wrong? No, Sweaty. Piracy is justice. Praxis even. Yeah, steal from the corpse. Who cares? They'll be fine. Screw them. You need the money far more than they do. And in the case of Metroid, it's hardly a problem. Metroid Dread is the highest selling game in the series right now. And it's not like gutting a legendary franchise for being too niche is a capitalism problem anyway. No. I struggle to believe that these shitty defenses have anything to do with these people's political or corporate takes. Nor do I think that they're Nintendo plant accounts or anything. Thanks to their childhood experiences, these uncompensated shills have such an emotional investment in Nintendo's content that they don't want to believe the company can do wrong. They made my childhood. They can't be bad. Please don't tell me they're bad. Let people enjoy things. Don't destroy all those memories. Listen, I really think this term sucks, but this looks like a grow-up situation to me. Not one aspect of the world is anything like what you assumed it to be when you were a kid. Instead of pretending that the issue doesn't exist, make an effort to help solve it. Harp on the terrible PR every time Nintendo does something demonic. Add your voice to the echoes. Instead of championing the status quo, fight it. Because I guarantee that Miyamoto-sensei doesn't give a fuck about you. Even if that last segment doesn't get me killed, this one will surely put my family at risk. I'm gonna use myself as the example again. I was introduced to Kingdom Hearts at the age of 7. My cousin had played a decent share of 2 and wanted to show me how kick-ass it was. And kick-ass it was, especially for a 7-year-old Naruto fan. Everything about Nomura's trademark style hit all the right 2000s boxes, and for the next few years, I was obsessed. 7 years later though, that started to change. I hadn't played Birth by Sleep yet. It was the last one I had yet to play before diving right into the KH3 hype. And with the release of 2.5 in 2014, I finally had the opportunity. Here's the thing though, I didn't like it. And for a while I didn't know why. I figured it was a me problem, and so I fell into a habit of revisiting the game every year or so looking for what everyone else had seen. But no matter how hard I tried, nothing clicked. Because there was nothing to click. Birth by Sleep is bad. It's like really fucking bad. There's nothing redeeming about this Tetsuya Nomura video game. It truly is the worst one. 3 was still years away though, and it looked extremely promising. While Birth by Sleep blew on that candle, it didn't put the flame out. With the series so huge, there's inevitably gonna be a blunder at some point. But the Xehanort finale? This has to be good. No way in hell it can't be. I'd spent 10 years of my life on Nomura's wacky train. Surely it can't crash now. Sure, it hit a guy, but it's never gonna stop. Reactions were mixed. Laymen laughed at the game and thought it was awful. Some fans loved it and defend it to this day, while others are happy to see the Xehanort arc finally go. Personally, I'd already cared so little that I didn't even bother to play it until Remind came out and fixed a ton of gameplay problems. And the mixture of critique and cope only stood to confirm to me that my position was the right one. So I just played the old games again, like any disillusioned fan. But while they sure played and sounded as well as I remembered, almost every cutscene gave me heart palpitations. When I replay these games today, I just skip them. I can't take the secondhand embarrassment anymore. I'm not 7 anymore. I heard a really funny analogy once. Kingdom Hearts is like a puzzle, one with thousands of pieces scattered across the planet. As a fan, your job is to find them. All of them. With each throwaway mobile title comes a list of coordinates. But once I realized that the art on said puzzle was just some shitty child's drawing, I stopped searching. And yet, I still ogle at that incomplete drawing. It's on my fridge. When Remind dropped and Yozora proved to be a kick-ass boss, I was excited. When Sora was revealed for Smash Ultimate, I damn near painted my walls white. I don't like this series anymore. I think it's awful, and yet I jump with soy at every piece of news. I do the same with Dragon Ball. I think it sucks now. But when you've spent practically your entire life invested in a certain thing, you can never just lock that thing away. It's become part of you. And though I carry most inverse opinions, when I hear fans my senior respond to criticism with fire bars like,
"No one is hungry for weak sauce,"
I relate to that energy, because I know exactly where it comes from. I felt it. Because every piece of media is a cloud its fandom stands under, hand in hand singing Kumbaya. Their complaints stand no chance beneath that warm yellow shower. Nostalgia is piss, and we're all drenched in it. We gargle it daily while complaining about how bad it tastes. But, you know, that's kinda hot. Hey, so this is my second time doing this. Reason being that I cut a segment from this video and spent a chunk of my last attempt talking about that segment that no longer exists. I guess I should start there. Exhibit C was originally going to be a Pokemon segment that centered around the idea of Pokemon fans outgrowing the series and being upset that it hasn't grown with them. But I cut that segment because, My experience with Pokemon is very minimal, and though I do strongly believe in the take I just gave, I wouldn't be able to substantiate it. I know that in a debate setting, I wouldn't really be able to defend it against an actual Pokemon fan. I just don't have the technical experience to definitively say whether or not the series has actually gotten worse, or if it stayed the same and you've just gotten older. Even with that being said, if you are a disgruntled Pokemon fan, you're sick of the series, you think it's shit now, give Shin Megami Tensei a try. It's effectively Pokemon for adults. This was far more rambly last time. I'll try to be a little more organized. I'll start with the Sonic segment. I've been a Sonic fan my whole life. One of the earliest games I can recall playing was Sonic 1 on a Genesis my uncle owned. I've seen this community change and grow, and recently just get a hell of a whole lot worse. That was a tad redundant. The series is in a serious rut at the moment. It has been for the past decade. I don't think a good modern Sonic game developed by Sonic Team has released since Generations, and the community is in a very interesting spot. The segment was ultimately motivated by the fandom's insistence on arguing which Sonic was the best, arguing where the series should go, and I don't talk about this in the segment, but it does bother me. The Sonic fandom in recent days has had a serious case of toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is basically where you, the toxically positive individual, are far more enthusiastic than you can justify being, and you aggressively shut down any and all criticism. Sonic fans, not all obviously, but a huge subset of them online, are aggressively anti-criticism now, and I think it's because this series is so important to them. They love it so much, they want it to be good so bad that they'll lie to themselves and say that it is. They'll shut down any criticism that goes against their false narrative, because the notion that their narrative is false just makes them feel bad. They have an unhealthy attachment to this blue motherfucker. I know that they're taking a different approach with Frontiers, or whatever it ends up being called, and my theory for years has always been that Sonic Team is simply an incompetent developer. I mean, 10 years of non-stop L's is just unfeasible if you actually know what you're doing. My expectations are low, and my lips will likely remain sealed until it releases and every streamer hates it. I think the Nintendo segment mostly speaks for itself. Nintendo discourse has been dog shit since the Wii U days. I remember when Nintendo fans would insist that their console was good when it simply wasn't. The Wii U, in retrospect, it wasn't awful. It had fire first-party titles, but that's all it had. And I don't really think you could carry a console with first-party content alone. If you're buying a Nintendo console solely for Nintendo games, you probably have other systems to play games on, right? Who wants to dedicate themselves to one dev? What are you doing? And Nintendo discourse these days it's 50% people who hate Nintendo and will shit on them at every turn, and 50% bootlickers who will stand every shitty business decision that comes out of that developer, to the point where wealthy white public figures will come out of the woodwork to shit on all the poor people who play Mario 64 on Project 64. I don't want to get too conspiratorial, but I mean, if you're a video game streamer in 2021, chances are Nintendo has either directly or indirectly paid your bills at some point. That shit was infuriating to me. I can't stand when privileged pieces of shit hop on their ivory fucking tower to defend the law, to defend corporations. What is wrong with you? Like, in the case of Misclick, it's clear to me that she heard that stealing was wrong when she was 5 years old, and hasn't thought about the concept since, because she hasn't had to, for any reason. The Kingdom Hearts segment is for sure going to be the most controversial one, I think. I literally say that X game is bad in it, and that community is rabid, it is rancid, it is ravenous, it is all the things I fucking hate. But to shit on myself for a little bit, that segment is very much, it's very self-indulgent. the same way that I think Kingdom Hearts is itself self-indulgent on behalf of Nomura. I don't dislike Nomura. A common thing among ex-Kingdom Hearts fans, a common thing they'll say is that Nomura is a hack fraud, he was never good. I don't believe that. He has done fantastic work in the past. I think Kingdom Hearts is his worst. That is a series that I believe that I've personally grown out of and want to enjoy. In a way, I'm no better than the Pokemon fans, right? But I don't really think that Kingdom Hearts is necessarily for children. Maybe it started out that way, but Kingdom Hearts 2 is very much on the... It tickles the fancy of every 14-year-old Naruto fan in 2005, I think. I want to like the series. I used to love it. I'd love to be in that headspace again, and I'm looking forward to whatever he does next. The Xehanort saga is over, thank God. This video was intended to be very easy, very simple, very basic, a palate cleanser after the fucking behemoth that was the Goro Majima video. But this proved to be difficult in its own right. Reason being that I have a very confident, abrasive personality, but I'm really uncomfortable with being a provocateur. I don't enjoy making people, upset, even if their upset is their problem and they deserve it. It's not fun to me. This video was not a labor of love. It was very much a labor of hate, fueled by an overexposure to Twitter.com. Guilty. I don't know if I'm gonna sneak a segment like this at the end of every video I make, but this one in particular I think needed some added commentary because it's a bit loaded and needed to be explained, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button, subscribe, comment, and look forward to the next one. Thinking about topics right now, juggling between two. The next video will not be opinion based, it'll be factual, so look forward to that.